Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers. I thank everybody that's involved with this process because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers.
Experience is not about the publisher, it is about us, the authors. Good afternoon and welcome to the Festival of Storytellers. My name is Ellie. I am the author of One Caregiver's Journey and Generations of Good Food. I welcome you to the session of me with Lynda Drake and Kimmy Littlejohn-Clark. It's going to be a lively hour. Hello, ladies. And I want to thank Reader's Magnet for allowing us the opportunity to live stream to all of you this afternoon for the special author of the hour presentation, and reminding you that we are live on all of the platforms. So be sure to join in, sign up, and follow along. Ladies, how are you? This is really going to be fun. This is Lynda Drake, who doesn't live very far from me. As a matter of fact, I'm in the northern part of the Denver metro area, and she's about 45 minutes away in the southern part of the Denver metro area. And then we have Kimmy with us, who's a long ways away. Where are you? Where are you?
Jacksonville, Florida. I'm here to warm it up.
Thank you. Yes, well, because I had 11 inches of snow yesterday, and Linda had very close, so it is not very warm where we are. Let's talk about Linda. Tell us a little bit about you and about your book, and then we'll let Kimmy tell us about hers, and then we'll just kick it off.
It sounds great. Well, my book is The Power of Imperfect Parents.
Okay.
And there you go. It's also an audio version, which I forget to tell people sometimes. And this book it's about practical tools to parent your child with disabilities. I have 3 kids. They're now 37. I have a 37-year-old and 2 30-year-olds. They're twins. And they have various labels from Down syndrome, autism, mood disorder, diabetes, attention deficit disorder, dyslexia, rheumatoid arthritis, life-threatening allergies, severe behaviors, and some other things thrown in there. And I just learned so much on my parenting journey that I really wanted to write a book that would help some other parents on theirs. I've also been a job developer. So for 21 years, I helped people with all types of disabilities and those experiencing homelessness find jobs. So I've learned a lot about the world of people with various challenges and how to navigate that world and parent our kids in empowering ways. So that's about me.
That's about you. Kimmy, let's hear about Kimmy.
Well, I'm Kimmy Littlejohn-Clark, and I am the author of 2 books. The first one is 43 Days Born to Live, and my most recent one is Nobody Goes to Heaven Kicking and Screaming.
There you go. There you go. Hey.
Oh, beautiful.
Thank you. And so I've always believed, and I know that it's true, that, nobody in heaven is wanting to come back down here. So when you die and you go to heaven, you're not going to Jesus kicking and screaming. So.
Right. And what did your child died at 43 days. What did he have?
He had trisomy 18. and we found it out when he was born. We chose to have him tested when he was born, and that's
Uh-huh.
when they had believed that something was going on, but I'm so glad that I was led to just bask in the moment, and I'm glad I didn't know beforehand. So, yeah, we chose to get him tested when he was born.
Okay. And like the two of you, my caregiving book is about my 10-year journey of taking care of my mother, who fell and broke her hip at 93. And then I quit a 40-year career to take care of her and be her sole caregiver. And she passed away in her bedroom in my home at 102. So, and I too wrote my book as hopefully as a blueprint to help people who are either thinking about being caregivers or are caregivers who are going through some tough times. It's some ways to travel down that road and navigate the challenges that often come with it, and particularly over a 10-year period as the challenges change. Okay, so what do we want to hit with first? Do we want to talk about caregiving um, or what? Do we want to talk about kids? Do we want to talk about caregiving? What would we like to talk about? And I'll open it up to the two of you, and you start your conversation.
A great topic to start with, especially since it's something we all have in common. And there's so many people out there that are caregivers. And it's not easy.
No, it's not.
It's not an easy job. It can be very fulfilling. I'm very grateful. I was a caregiver for my mother after she had a stroke from the time she was 87 till about 90. And I'm so grateful for the time that I had with her, but I wasn't the sole caregiver, Ellie, like you were. We had other caregivers that came in and helped. So I was her caregiver on the weekends. So having that other support around here was so critical. But my mom was just she had had such a successful career. She had been a district manager for a food service company. So she had a lot of people that she was responsible for. And in the end, when she needed help with so many physical things, her mind was still very active and cognitive, but her body just needed a lot of help. So anyway, I was grateful to have that time and to see her strength as she went through that time. And she had kept a great attitude.
So Kimmy, I know you've been a CNA, so your caregiving's been somewhat different, but tough. It could be very tough.
Yes, and I started when I was 19. And the caregiver back then is way different from the caregiver than I am now. You take you take the class in high school, and you start going through different things as a CNA, and just I'm so grateful that I became a better caregiver. I think also too, what you go through in your personal life helps you to either become better or worse as a caregiver. And so I'm grateful to be a better caregiver at 54 and a half than I ever could have been at 22.
Thank you, Logan, for recognizing that we have some resilience, because we have some resilience. Thank you, James. Thank you, James. We're going to enjoy the show. So you have, Lynda has 3 kids, and Kimmy and I have none, but what have you noticed about caregiving? You had indicated to me that your late husband was basically cared for your Down syndrome son, but what have we learned? How far have we come? Have we come? Your kids are in their 30s. Have we come far in treating and taking care of, and as a society understanding these? Unmute her. There you go.
We have come a ways, for sure. Things are very different than they were when my kids were first born.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I would love to see as we get, there's more and more people who are on the autism spectrum, at least that are being diagnosed on the autism spectrum. And working with all the people with disabilities that I've worked with over 21 years, one of the things I would love to see is that we take away the stigma of people with disabilities and we replace it with being able to see their value, because people with disabilities have taught me so much. And people, especially, I would say people like on the autism spectrum, if we can learn to value the gifts that they bring, which are typically, and not everyone is the same in any disability, but one of the things that's similar across people on the autism spectrum is intuition. They just have they're more aware of what's going on. They may not be aware of like what people are feeling, and it depends on the person, but they are aware in a broader spectrum of what's going on more kind of globally. There's a great book called The Autistic Brain. And in it, he talks about people on the spectrum, like being so sensitive to animals, like what animals are feeling. If you look at somebody like Temple Grandin, who is from Fort Collins in Colorado, and how she actually helped the way that cattle are taken to slaughter and help them not be as stressed. And so that, every person has something to offer. And I think the more we can let go of our fear of people who are different and instead see their value, we're all going to benefit for sure. And like my son who has Down syndrome, you might think, because he's developmentally disabled, that he's not very smart. But I tell you, there's things he's very smart about. And one of them is spirit, for sure. Like one time we were waiting for an airplane, and he just looked around and he said to me, "God loves everybody here." What a beautiful thing to say. So anyway, that's my view on people with disabilities. We need to learn we all have a place at the table.
Kimmy, feel free to ask any questions or jump in, please.
Yes. I was going to say, I feel like when you have a child that's born, what I call special, there's blessings that comes along with it. People may look at it as a curse, but it is a blessing. And it definitely takes you into this classroom that you've never entered before. And so that's my experience from having a baby with trisomy 18.
Yeah, absolutely. You join this special club, and we get to learn things in this special club that we have life lessons that are not readily available to most people, like the lesson of what really matters. I just came up with this a few weeks ago, that one of the things that families that have kids that are special can teach the rest of us is to change pity to perspective. My kids don't want to be pitied, but they sure help you see perspective. When you've lived with my kids, with Alex, his speech is hard for even his family to understand. I can't even imagine how hard that would be. My daughter's had life-threatening allergies that have led to anaphylactic shock, anaphylactic reactions, almost monthly during high school where they were life-threatening, truly. So you get to see how precious life is. And
Yes.
we never know. We never know how long we have. We don't know.
Lynda, have
And
all
you'll
your kids
learn
been,
that's powerful.
have they been educated in the mainstream school systems?
Alex went to, for a while, Alex went to regular school until high school when his behaviors got too severe. So then he went
Mhm.
to a local school. Thank you, Ethan. He went to a
Yeah,
local
for sure,
school
for sure.
that was for kids who had dual diagnosis, which means they had to have developmental disability along with mental health issues, behavior issues. So there were only 6 kids. And then the rest of the school, there were like 30 kids that had other significant challenges. So that's what his high school was like, which was wonderful because he needed that level of support. My daughters Allie went to public school until high school. And then Katie and Allie both went to Remsel, Rocky Mountain School of Expeditionary Learning, which is a school that focuses on, it's also it's a weird public school. All the districts feed in some students to this school, but it was based on outward bounds principles. And I wish there were more schools like that because it didn't only focus on, thanks, Rocky. Good to see you. Thank you, dear. I love you too. But it didn't only focus on book smarts, it focused on character values. It focused on compassion, responsibility, respect. And that was amazing. And how helpful that would be to so many kids out there.
Well,
Yeah.
don't you ladies think that school-age children in general lost a lot during the pandemic?
Yes.
So much.
Yes.
Because we see that while some were very intent, had parents who were very intent that they go through remote learning and try to learn as much as they could remotely. Others just stayed in bed and didn't go to school. Now there's so much of a struggle, and I think that also happened across the board with families, period, during the pandemic, when you had parents who were trying to work at home, trying to school kids at home, and then many families had their parents living with them. Many families took parents out of assisted living when they knew that there was going to be a lockup, and the lockup stayed for a year and a half to 2 years, and they became caregivers of not only their kids but all of their parents, and just the dynamics of trying to navigate the world was different. Kimmy, what about where you're from? Lynda and I are pretty familiar with what goes on in the Colorado, Denver area, but where you're from, what do you experience? Do you know, because I know do you know of the various programs that are out there for families?
Yes. When you give birth to a sick or what I call a special child, it opens up a whole new world. I never even heard of Ronald McDonald House, for example. And
Really?
when he was born, I'm like, yeah. And it's so pretty inside. They were supposed to update it, but I never went back to see if they did because he didn't, after he died, I wasn't going over there. But they had the grief group in there that started off in there. And, but it just opens up a whole new world. Like you literally can go over there take the shuttle from there to the hospital, back and forth. Like it is a lot. And you talking about pretty at Christmas time. So there's a lot of resources out there that I never knew about until I gave birth to a special child. Also, I want to add to what you guys were talking about. During the pandemic, I felt like I was praying more for parents of children that were special, because they could understand that they couldn't leave the house. And whereas people think that a special needs child or whatever can't, they did. And so I felt like they suffered even more than us at some point. And I used to work next door to one. And so I found myself like praying for that school all the time. But it was just so quiet and so different because you weren't seeing the little kids. And I love to watch them going, in and out. But yeah, definitely a special child opens up a whole new world. There's so many resources that you have right at your fingertips.
Okay, Reed, this is going to be interesting. No, we don't mind you asking. Have you encountered any discriminatory attitudes or challenges related to being a female caregiver? So let me give you my perspective, and then I'll let my co-ladies give you their perspective. My perspective is no, because the vast majority of caregivers are women. And although men, now there are more men who are providing care. My brother cared for his wife before she passed away, but there are more women caregivers. And I think that in a family where there's sisters and brothers, the sister is the one who's expected to become the caregiver. The brothers aren't generally expected to become the caregivers. It's always been the woman's place to be in the home. I mean, and this goes back to, when my mother was a little girl. It's the women's place to be in the home. It's the woman's place to do the dirty work. It's the woman's place to take care of and make sure that everything is humming along. And it's the man's place to bring in the bacon. Okay, girls, you take it away, ladies. Do you think females are? I don't care who goes. Kimmy, you go first, because I know I can just see what's in Lynda's head. You go first, Kimmy.
Oh yes, I've definitely experienced it, but I feel like, because I'm basically a straight shooter, I've been able to handle myself. So
I would say you probably can handle yourself.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
And so you've been discriminated because you were a female caregiver?
Yes.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Banish the thought. Lynda.
Yeah, and with me, my husband was Alex's caregiver for 8 years. He was the main caregiver for 8 years, and I worked outside the home. So caregiving definitely can be done by men and women, and I think there's times when people have an issue with men sometimes doing it, and people have an issue with women. So I think the broader thing is to be grateful that somebody is being a caregiver for your loved one, regardless of if they're a man or a woman, and help love and support them so they can do the best job that they can. So that's more important. And my husband was actually a better caregiver than I am. My mother would definitely tell you, caregiving, not my strong suit. Trying to change her shirts, and it just not something that came really natural to me. So just because you're a woman doesn't mean you can do it well, and just because you're a man doesn't mean you can't do it well. I think there's times, it just depends on what's in the person's heart and soul, where their skills are.
I think that's true. My brother had a terrible time at times helping me with my mother, particularly when there were some unpleasantries involved. But he had no problem in helping his wife when she had all of those same issues before she passed away. Um, shall we go to our hashtags since there's three of us that can respond? Let's go to the
Let's do.
hashtags. Is our first hashtag what?
Oh,
There we are. We're
so
little.
there
Our
we
first
go.
hashtag is parenting. Who wants to take a stab? Okay, you two have been parents. I have not, but doesn't mean I don't know, because I have 5 nieces and a nephew. I have 16 great nieces and a nephew, and I have 1 great nephew. So I've been down this road. Maybe not the way you have, but I've been down this road. Okay, go, Lynda.
And, I think that's interesting. Just because you didn't give birth to somebody doesn't mean you can't help love and nurture them. I think that is one of the things that we forget in our society. We really can't do any of this alone. And if we have people on our journey with us helping helping parenting, it's a beautiful thing. Whether that's an aunt or an uncle or a dear friend, a caregiver, whoever that is. Rocky that had said something earlier is one of my son's caregivers, and he is phenomenal. And it's been great because he has showed me some things about parenting my son that I just kind of had done for a long time, things that I had done, like doing too much for my son. And he was able to see that from a new perspective and encourage me to let my son do more on his own. So parenting it's a community effort, and I'm really grateful for what he's done to help me be a better parent.
So Lynda, this questionnaire is
kids
yours.
bullied. Yeah.
Have your kids, were they bullied for their disability when they were in regular school?
Yes, absolutely. So Alex was bullied some, and really my oldest daughter, Allison, who has attention deficit disorder and dyslexia, was bullied more even than Alex. Sometimes those invisible disabilities, people get bullied more because the kids don't really understand it. They just knew that she was different and she saw things differently. And that was, she was definitely bullied. And Alex has been at times too. And it's very hard to watch as a parent. And we need to learn to teach our kids about everybody is valuable and to love. It doesn't matter if people are different.
I don't know that that's going to happen given the world we live in. Kimmy, tell me what you think about parenting.
Parenting, for me, I definitely believe in that old saying, parenting is a privilege denied to many. And I probably felt like I was denied for a little bit until I became a parent at the age of 42. And so I'm glad that I was an aunt before I was a mother, because that helped me. I believe that helped me along the way. Besides caregiving, I believe I will never not believe that caregiving and becoming an aunt didn't prepare me to be a mother to my own special child. And just really I'm appreciative of being a caregiver and an aunt before I became a mother.
Wow. Yeah. Well, I've been an aunt since I was 10, believe it or not. My late brother was considerably older than I am, so I've been down this road and I've watched the ups and downs of, and I've watched how my brothers and their wives have produced just wonderful kids, and their kids have produced wonderful kids. I feel when I look across the spectrum at what's out there, and the problems that families have, how blessed we are to know that all of my nieces and nephews are they're good. They're good people. They're good people, and I don't say that just because I'm an aunt and because I've been at this, for a lot of years. I say that because we see what else is out there, and you see the struggles that people go through trying to discipline, trying to bring into perspective. And I think we live in a very, very difficult world for young people today. And it's a very difficult world for parents to be successful in. And please tell me if you disagree with me. Nurturing doesn't
Well,
have to be perfect, just genuine. That's exactly
yeah.
right, Nina.
And I would love to see a world where we see all children as wonderful, that we are able to see that in the kid, even when they can't always see it in themselves.
Right.
So I think that's important too.
So what's our next hashtag? Relationship. There's a good one. Kimmy, you start this one off.
I think of love with that word. Love goes along with the word relationship. To be in a relationship is one thing, but to love the relationship itself, whether it's friendship, even family, is important. So you want to love your relationships and nurture them and care for them.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think, Lynda?
That's good. Yes, I think relationship is, that's really what creates a quality of life, isn't it? When we have a connection to other people and we're in relationship. In my book, I have a chapter on self and relationship care, which I think is really important. And one of the things that I think sometimes we forget is the value of fighting well. There was an NPR special, NPR whatever, on how to fight well years ago. And it really helped. My husband and I were married almost 40 years. And one of the few things that talked about in that article about fighting well is one, not to call each other names. It makes me nuts when I hear a couple fighting somewhere and they're calling each other names. That is so disempowering and it doesn't do any good. I mean, you love the person. You don't need to be calling them names. The second one is to just fight about what the topic is right then. Don't bring everything else from the past into this topic. Like, don't bring up how much you hate your mother-in-law or whatever the case may be. Just talk about what that is right there. And to really communicate well and talk your way through it. So with relationships, you really need to be one of the main things, like you were saying, love, but also lifting each other up. You should be there helping each other be a better version of yourself. So helping each other be a better version of themselves.
So there's a question that is coming into us that says, in what ways do you think effective communication and open dialogue between parents and their children contribute to a stronger and healthier parent-child relationship? That's a loaded question.
Yeah.
I
So
think
important.
I think it's hard. It's hard. And I think it's hard in today's environment, especially, to find effective communications and how to come up with a good dialogue, because and this has been all over the news the last few days, which is social media plays into all of this in so many, many ways. Lynda, perhaps not with your kids, but I think with the world we see, it's hard for parents parents are complaining that their children are seeing all this stuff online and they don't know anything about it. And that breaks a bond of the relationship, and it
Yeah.
makes it harder. It makes it harder for families to be a solid structure. Families don't always anymore, because of the lifestyles with different working hours and where we are. Who's got soccer? Who's got music? Who's got dance? Who's got going to work late? Who's on a different shift? They don't always have time to sit down and have a meal together where they could put their phones down. I always tell the story that when we go to my brother's for dinner as a family, he makes all of his grandkids put their cell phones in the kitchen on the counter before they sit at the table, so they're not sitting there looking at their cell phones, and then you can have a conversation, and then you can build the family relationships. Lynda, QR wants to know, do you believe the parent-child relationship influences a child's development and overall well-being as they grow into adulthood? Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. The parent-child relationship is really a great foundation for a child as they grow up. So having a good relationship with your kids, which to me is an authentic relationship, when you can admit that when you were wrong, that you're open to listen to whatever your child has to say and you're not going to judge them. I think that's really critical, and that you believe in their ability. You believe that they can handle life. So many times parents don't want to see their kids get disappointed or fail. And that really shares with the kid that you don't think they're strong enough to handle challenges in life. And you want to be able to believe in your kid and what they're able to do. In the end of the book, the last chapter of my book is called The Big Reveal. And it is interviews that I did with adults with disabilities, people who had been disabled since birth, and what they're glad that their parents did. And one of the really common themes was the parents allowed their kid to take risks and fail, and they believed in them. So I think, that's really critical. That's critical stuff.
So for both Kimmy and Lynda, or Kimmy, you take this one. What strategies can be implemented to build a supportive and inclusive environment for children, including those with disabilities in schools and recreational activities? Wow.
Making them feel safe, reassuring them. And I almost feel like nowadays you need to reassure your child every day. I'm here for you. When you fail, I'm here for you. Let's talk about your failures for the day, but let's also talk about ways to win. And just having like a check-in day, whether it's Talk It Out Tuesday or whatever. And so reassuring your child every single day, because even though my boy only lived 43 days, I always let him know and reminded him, I'm here for you. Mama's here. I was always saying that Mama's here. And I think when they hear it over and over again, they begin to believe it.
Yeah.
Do you
Awesome.
How old are your nieces and nephews?
Oh gosh, my oldest is 43, and the youngest great niece is 4 months.
Oh, you got a baby.
Yeah, I became an aunt at 12. So
I beat you by 2 years.
Yeah. So I always say with my first nephew, we grew up together. Like he was my nephew, but he was,
I say the same thing with my nephew.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. And so
we did grow up together.
Yeah, and I made lots of mistakes with him, but I felt like by the time my sister got to the twins, I was able to redeem myself and just make a lot of my wrongs right. And so by the time I became a mother, even though it was short and 43 days and all together, and I'm like, yeah, I feel like I killed it a little bit, So yeah.
That's good.
Well, I
That's good.
actually have for the last few years taken a trip with three of my nieces, with my brother's three daughters. After their mother passed away, they did a mother-daughter trip for years, and those are some of the neatest memories. This last summer, we went to Sarasota, Florida. The one sister has a second home down there. We went to Sarasota, Florida, and you know, I was standing in the water with the youngest one, who's 40. I'm standing in the water with the youngest sister. We were in the beach. And a wave came along and just took my feet out from under me. And the other two stood on the beach and just laughed, they were not in any hurry to come rescue the two of us because they were just having such a fun time, and they kept debating if they should get up, but we both finally got up and we were both fine and we both laughed about it. And when we came out, it was like, hey, why don't you guys come help us? And they said, oh, it was just so entertaining to watch you. So, and it's just nice to develop those relationships early in life, as well as when they're older, they have families of their own. They've got children that are getting married. They've got children that are graduating college. I think it goes through the whole spectrum. Stacy wants to know, Kimmy, you poured your love out for 43 days, and he knew he was cherished.
He was, and I feel like my heart.
What was the little guy's name? What was his name?
Chance James Clark.
How fun.
Yeah, and I feel like day 44, was my hardest, because that was like the real wake-up call. Like, okay, your child is gone to heaven, so now what do you do? So day 44,
wipe it off the calendar.
Yeah.
Okay, next hashtag. Where are we? Are we on 2 or 3? Disabilities. Here we go. Okay, Lynda, this is obviously.
So, like I said before, I really wish we could get rid of the stigma, if you will, whatever negative connotation we have around the word disability, and see all people for the value that they bring, and just let people be who they are. But what we've learned so much from people who have challenges, and they bring so much to the world. And I'm not talking about being an inspiration, although some people are, but sometimes we get into that place where, oh, you have a disability, you're an inspiration. Well, that can be condescending as well. People with disabilities want to be people first. So just let them be people first. And when that's one of the things about people first language is really important. So it's not a Down syndrome kid, it's a kid with Down syndrome. So making sure that the first word we say about somebody is that they're a person. Just like homeless people. You don't say homeless people, you say people experiencing homelessness. And see people for the value that they bring. Assume people know things. Even with Alex, don't approach people with disabilities and assume they don't know anything, that they're not smart. Because let me tell you, my son, what he knows, he really knows. And he knows about love, so much about love. One time he went to a doctor, and the first thing the doctor said to him was, oh, he's obese. Didn't even say hi first. That was his first comment. Oh, he's obese. When my son left that doctor's appointment, he hugged that doctor and said, I love you. And that doctor just looked at him and said, you're one of the few. Yeah.
Yeah, what a dog. What a dog.
But you know what? He had his issues too. So my son could see that. My son saw past what he had said and saw the real soul of the guy.
So do you use any community resources? Do you connect up? Are you in, are your kids, I have a young cousin with Downs, and they have had him. I mean, my God, he's been in Special Olympics, and he's just done everything in the world. And he graduated high school last year. He was the prom king.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, it was. And, I mean, he's just kind of been, when he was in ninth grade, he was actually a championship wrestler who didn't quite make it to state, but he was the championship at his school. So, are you connected? Have you learned from a lot of that?
Oh, yes. My son is very interesting. Like, he's never liked Special Olympics because he doesn't like to just hang around with people with disabilities. And because of his behaviors, he hasn't been able to participate in all those things like what you're talking about. And it's really easy as a parent to see that there must be something wrong with you if your child with Down syndrome doesn't do all those things. So really being able to look at and celebrate each kid, whether the kid has disabilities or not, but whatever that kid can do, being able to celebrate that and celebrate who they are. So yes, I've definitely gotten support from groups out there, like Unified Sports. When he was in high school, even though he didn't go to the main high school, he would go to that high school for Unified Sports, which was amazing, which is where typical kids help the kids with disabilities learn how to play sports. It was great for everybody. That was an amazing experience. And he gets support through a local agency here called Developmental Pathways. So yeah, he's definitely getting help from those groups is good.
Did you connect up with entities or agencies?
Yes. They had, like I said, they had grief groups that they offered, and it was called Tear Catchers, but now it's been changed and it's under someone else, and it's called Yana, short for You're Not Alone. And so we meet via Zoom. And so, yeah. And the good thing is, they always tell you, come when you need to come. When you need it, come. When you don't need it, don't come. But it used to be held years ago at a church. But now, like I said, we can do it because of the pandemic. We're able to do it via Zoom. And so it helps. And so I'm also a part of another angel group that is pretty personal, like with my best friend and a couple other high school people, and because we've all lost children. But yes, there's plenty of grief groups around. I think it's just, and a lot of them are at churches too, and they're free, and you just go. You go when you need that support, that help, that comfort.
Yeah. Cool. Send us the next hashtag. Hyperactivity. Wow. Okay. Hyperactivity. There's a lot of that around in the world today.
Yeah.
Kimmy, you take this one first. God. Hyperactivity.
Well, for me, I would say like hyperactivity can also help you not be lazy, especially if you have a kid that's hyperactive, probably, or a niece or a nephew. So I don't look at that as a bad thing. Because think about it, if you drink too much coffee, you can become hyperactive. Someone asked about, do you feel like having a child with disability is your fault? I believe they said. That's a good question. At one point, I felt like, yes, it was my fault until I found out how you get trisomy 18. But yes, I definitely have felt like him being born with trisomy 18 was my fault.
Yeah. And, there have been times I've definitely, oh, sorry.
No, go on. No, I was just telling you to go on.
There's definitely been times where I felt like with my son, his severe behaviors were my fault. Why wasn't I a better disciplinarian that I could get him under control? I think it's really easy as a parent to blame ourselves for things, especially mental health issues. that there must be something I did that caused, his mood disorders or whatever. Yeah. So I think it's one of those things that it's very easy for us parents to take some shame around, some blame, some guilt, and learning to let that go is very important, really important.
So what's your take on hyperactivity?
So with hyperactivity, I've worked with a lot of clients who were hyperactive. And, it's really important that as far as work, because that's what I know the most about is work, that they have a job where they feel challenged, they feel valued. They may have to do something to keep themselves focused. Like they might have to play with one of those spinners. They might have to, you can squeeze a ball, something that your body can be focused on one part of movement so that your brain, you can sit fairly still. So just like with everything, just finding out what works for that person and helping them celebrate who they are.
So they say that now a lot of the kids in school have undiagnosed hyperactivity, or they're very hyperactive, and there is a paper out that is saying that that might be undiagnosed autism, and then so I don't know. I mean, I'm just telling you what I have heard. Do we have one? Do we have one more? One more? Do we have one more? Hashtag. Mark? Special children. Well, you two have covered that one. So let you two have covered that one in the last 52 minutes. Let's go ahead and Kimmy, throw one out because you're good at that. Encouragement. There you go.
All right.
Threw another one out. Okay, so let's talk about encouragement. I think the encouragement is absolutely. If we didn't lift each other up and we didn't encourage each other, what a sad world it would be. So
I think for me,
they want to know here, what? Go on, Kimmy.
I was going to say, I think more than ever, when you're going through it with your children and they're special, you're dealing with their sicknesses and all of that, is you have to look in the mirror and encourage yourself. And one of the scriptures that always come to mind is the one that talks when scripture says David encouraged himself in the Lord. So I did that because that's how I was going to make it. And so just waking up and looking in the mirror and saying, okay, Lord, it's you and I.
Here we go again for another day.
Yep.
Here we go again for another day. What about your own upbringing? What about your own upbringing with your mother influenced the way you approach motherhood, approach the values that you want to instill in your children? I mean, my upbringing was interesting. Kimmy, we'll let you take it because then we got 5 more minutes, and I'm gonna let Lynda close it out, and then I'll close it out. Go ahead.
I am grateful for the mother I got. Hardcore, a little rough around the edges. I call her a saved gangster. Like, she loves Jesus, but she's also a gangster. So I'm glad for her, and she gave it to me straight when I needed it. She spanked my behind when I needed it. I remember calling her, thanking her for all my spankings, because I definitely believe it shaped me into the woman I am, besides her being a praying mother, and just encouraging us and telling us, like, I just remember even with her teaching me how to ride the bike, and just really remembering, like, when she would let go and I looked and I'm like, she let go and then I would fall. And I remember the very last time when she kind of had me on the bike and she didn't tell me she let go. But then finally she said, go, Kimmy. And I didn't look back
And you
and I didn't
did.
fall that time.
And
Yeah, so I'm
you're
glad.
still going.
Yeah, and I'm glad. So I believe that helped me be a good mother to Chance and just be loving and even carrying him, just talking to him. Because I would talk to my baby like when I was carrying him. I literally, yeah, he was my breakfast, lunch, and dinner buddy. And I talked to him and I read Psalm 121 to him every day from the time, even before he had ears formed. And I said it, got a chance to, say it to him again before he went to heaven. And so because of my mother, yes, I was able to be a good mother to my own baby. But I couldn't
Oh,
have done
good.
it without my own mother.
You know what? My mother's love is what my mother's love was, what gave me everything that I needed to be a caregiver for 10 years. It was everything and she was just such a docile, sweet little soul who sang in Italian every day and would scream at the top of her lungs in Italian and sing herself to sleep at night. Before we close, we got 4 minutes here, and one of us, so Lynda, I'm going to let you do the first round on this. Deliver a message to all of our viewers, and we've had quite a few. Deliver a message to all of our viewers, to all the parents and caregivers and kids with special needs. What would you say to folks? Unmute her.
Yeah. So what I would say is a few things. You're doing a better job at parenting than you think you are. Don't beat yourself up. You're never alone. You're never alone in what you go through. And if you can go through this thing called parenting with more love today than you had yesterday, that's a beautiful thing. What I hope people get from reading my book is that they learn how to find the lesson in everything you're going through, to love unconditionally, love through it all, including loving yourself. That's really huge. And laugh, because kids are hilarious. I am hilarious, especially when I don't mean to be. And laugh. It's okay to laugh and let go. Let go of the stuff that no longer serves you. Let go of whatever it is that's holding you back. Just let it go. So that's what I would say. But you're doing great.
Kimmy, tell us give us your advice. Deliver your message.
Wake up, pray if you have Jesus. If you don't, find him through your tragedy, find him through your moment, and invite him in, and he's going to help you because he gives you hope. And so when you wake up and you don't get it right that day, ask him to help you to get it right the next day. Wake up, pray, and slay. So don't lose hope.
And my message would be, in all of my Instagram posts, on the bottom, I have double hearts and I have the words faith, humor, and love. And I feel that you have to have faith, humor, and love to make it in this world. And I do agree with Kimmy that you need to have the Lord in your life, but you need to have faith in yourself that you can do this every day. And you need to have hope that today is a better day than yesterday, or as good as the day as yesterday. And then you need to have love. You need to have, you got to have a commitment to love yourself and love around you. That would be my story. Bring the girls back up. There you go. Ladies, this has been just absolutely, it's been quite the hour for us to share with each other and talk to each other, and to hope that we leave ourselves in a better world. I'd like to say, are you on social media? Can people follow you on social media? Kimmy, can they follow you?
Yes.
And where you buy your books?
Yes, my books, all of my books, 43 Day Born to Live, and Nobody Goes to Heaven, Kicking and Screaming, are on Amazon, Reader's Magnet, and Barnes and Noble. I also have a memory page in my boy's name, Chance's Corner, CHANCZ, Chance's Corner, and then my own personal first Facebook page, Kimmy Littlejohn-Clark.
Okay. Lynda, what about you? Are you on social media? And where is your book available?
Yes, I'm on social media. I have a YouTube channel actually, and I'm on Facebook and LinkedIn and the X word, whatever that is, and
Twitter.
Twitter, is that the other one? But you can link them all through my website, which is just lyndadrake.com, LYNDA Drake.com.
And are either one of you ladies going to any upcoming book events?
I'll have a poster at them, but at the London one and the Los Angeles, but I'm not going to physically be at them.
Yeah, I won't be there.
Okay. And I won't be either. My books are both available on as theirs are on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles and all the online entities. And I am on Facebook and I am on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. Like I said, Eleanor is my handle.
Yeah.
Instagram. And with that, I would like to thank Reader's Magnet for allowing us to allowing us to just participate in the Festival of Storytellers, which is just an unbelievable event that is carried internationally.
Yeah.
I want to bid both of you to be safe and to be well. And for all of our viewers, thank you for following us. And as we say at Reader's Magnet, we share your stories with the world.
With the world.
Welcome to the Festival of Storytellers.
I thank everybody that's involved with this process because we know writers need readers and writers need publishers.
Experience is not about the publisher, it is about us, the authors.